important. As you know, this program says things that others don't want to hear. For as long as Kathleen Folbigg has been in jail, I haven't used legal language. I've just called it a disgrace. I have hopefully supported my conclusions with evidence from outstanding international scientific experts. People know the story. There were 4 deaths. Caleb dead at 19 days in 1988. Patrick dead at 8 months in 1991. Sarah dead at 10 months in 1993. And Laura dead at 19 months, all found, 4 of them found by their mother. 2 had been declared to have died of SIDS. Patrick had been found at autopsy to have died of asphyxia related to diagnosed epilepsy. But there were 4 deaths. Not a mark on any of the children to demonstrate that they'd been abused by their mother. No scientific evidence that any of Kathleen's babies were murdered. But a view had been propagated by so-called scholars that 1 sudden infant death was a tragedy, 2 was suspicious, 3 was murder, and 4, well, they swooped. Kathleen Folbigg has been in jail for 20 years. I should declare that I write to Kathleen and I try to encourage her to keep up her strength and have for years and years, keep up the fight, and I visited her in jail. Way back in 2018, I read and repeated the evidence of Professor Stephen Cordner from the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine, who questioned the medical testimony that contributed to Kathleen's conviction. Professor Cordner is one of Australia's top forensic pathologists. He argued there was no positive forensic pathology support for the contention that any or all of the children had been killed. Associate Professor Matthew Ord said, "I think this is an eminently fatal case of myocarditis." Now, myocarditis is an inflammation of the heart muscle known to cause sudden death in some children. Associate Professor Matthew Ord said, "On the basis of the medical evidence alone, I think this case certainly needs to be re-examined carefully." Well, way back in 2013, 10 years ago, I interviewed the Australian researcher at Canada's University of British Columbia, Emma Cunliffe, who had investigated the cases of a lot of women who'd been sent to jail because of the deaths of their children. Kathleen, she argued, was the only one still in jail. She referred me to Dr. Alan Kaler, a forensic pathologist who investigated the death of Laura, the 4th child, at 18 months. He knew that a child her age would put up a fight in the case, say, of smothering, and probably, not necessarily, leave signs of a struggle, particularly teeth marks on the inside of her lips. But he said her lips and face were clear. There was nothing in the brain. He took out the heart and lungs and he found nothing. This man is a forensic pathologist. Laura was the last child to die. I've always argued the innocence of Kathleen Folbigg. In 2021, almost 2 years ago, 76 eminent researchers, including 2 Nobel laureates and several Australians of the Year, including the Queensland scientist Professor Ian Fraser, said that new medical evidence about a mutant gene carried by 2 of the Folbigg children creates, quote, a strong presumption that they died from natural causes, unquote. That's 76 eminent researchers. But another 14 international experts at the time signed a petition, making all up 90 top scientists, medical practitioners and science advocates calling on the New South Wales Governor Margaret Beazley to pardon the then 53-year-old Kathleen Folbigg and immediately release her from jail.